Please stand for the academic procession.
The Chancellor, the Honorable Justice Lexham Party, the Chairperson of the Rhodes University Council, Judge Gerald Bloom, and other members of Council, our honorary graduate, Professor Helen Rees, your dearly loved partner, Faisal Randera, and your children, Safia and Mark. The University Public Orator, Distinguished Professor Paul Malem, Deputy Vice Chancellors, Deans, Acting Registrar, Heads of Academic Department and Directors of Administrative Divisions, academic and support staff, President and other members of the Student Representative Council, proud parents, guardians, siblings and friends of our graduates, honored guests, and most important of all, our graduates. It is a signal honor for me to welcome you all to the 6th and final Autumn 2023 graduation ceremony of Rhodes University. On behalf of our Chancellor, the University Council, and the entire Rhodes University community, I offer our warmest and proud congratulations to each one of you, our graduates, on your graduation today. Your path to this glorious moment may have been long, may have been difficult, it may have been circuitous, because for many of you, this journey is neither straight nor smooth. You have made it. Well done. We applaud and commend those of you who are first in their family to earn a university degree. This is without a doubt a truly proud and special moment for you and your family. I wish to call out for special recognition the local Makhanda graduates, most especially those who have come through our university interventions to improve the quality of learning and teaching in our local public schools. Thanks to the sterling work of our Community Engagement Office, GADRA, Mrs. Margie Keaton, Dr. Ashley Westerway, significantly more young people of Makhanda are able to gain admission at Rhodes University than ever before. This year, a total of 50 graduates who will be receiving their qualifications have come to Rhodes University through GADRA and the bridging program we established in 2017. 41 of these students are receiving their bachelor's degree, and 9 will be receiving a postgraduate qualification. A fabulous achievement indeed. We cannot and should never give up on the young people of our country. Each one of them has a potential. And if they, for one reason or another, have not been able to do well the first time around, give them a second opportunity. That is the story here of these young people who were given a second opportunity, and they have done exceedingly well. A special shout out goes to all the members of the Student Representative Council who are graduating this year. We are immensely proud of each and every one of them. And this is something very special at Rhodes University. Our student leaders do well. They don't stay here much longer than is necessary. And we are really, really proud of them. Our hearts and thoughts go out to the families of our students who passed on in the course of their studies and whose graduation ceremony this would have been. We honor their memory and will always treasure the time we were privileged to share with them. Dear graduates, you will be the first to acknowledge that you did not reach this important and joyous milestone in your life entirely on your own. You see, no one accomplishes something as significant as this on their own. The old adage, it takes a village to raise a child, is as true today as it has always been. And so accordingly, we extend our heartfelt congratulations to your family members, partners, friends, guardians, and all those whose loving sacrifices, constant encouragement, and unfailing support have sustained you throughout your years of study at Rhodes University. Your graduation today is their just reward, and they do deserve a thunderous applause. We also acknowledge with much appreciation and gratitude the role played by your lecturers, tutors, lab technicians, cleaners, cooks, mentors, wardening and support staff in creating a rich and supportive intellectual, social, and physical environment conducive to your personal growth, development, and academic success. We extend our warm and heartfelt congratulations to 5 recipients of the university's highest honor, the honorary degree. They are the Honorable Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, Professor Janet Sherry, the Honorable Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga, Professor Deborah Roberts, and our very, very special guest that we'll be celebrating this afternoon, Professor Helen Rees. Their personal journeys, selfless sacrifices, courage of their conviction, and achievements in public life and distinction in some fields set them apart from others and serve as an inspiration worthy of emulation by all of us. Dear graduates, you have received an excellent education from one of the finest universities in the world. With your Rhodes University education, you can embrace the future with utmost confidence, courage, and conviction. But always remember that Rhodes University education you have received is not for your sole or private benefit. You are expected to use it to advance the greater common good. Your graduation today takes place at a particularly challenging time in the 29-year history of our young constitutional democracy. Our nation is at a crossroads. We have lost our direction, we have lost our way, and above all, we have lost our moral compass. We have elevated to positions of leadership and responsibility some people of questionable moral and ethical character, people who have no sense of the difference between right and wrong, just and unjust, fair and unfair, ethical and unethical. And these are people who occupy positions of power and influence. The noble qualities and values of personal integrity, honesty, humility, compassion, respect for each other, fairness, empathy, selfless dedication to a common good, and willingness to put others first, that were so beautifully exemplified by the first president of our democratic republic, President Nelson Mandela, have given way to moral depravity, untrammeled greed, rampant corruption, venality, deceit, profligacy, and duplicity. There is a growing and palpable impatience, disillusionment, and disenchantment with the social, economic, and political state of our nation. All around us, we see pervasive and debilitating poverty and deprivation existing alongside obscene and unbridled opulence and vulgar and ostentatious display of ill-gotten material wealth. State-owned enterprises have been hollowed out, and are teetering on the brink of collapse. And this is most graphically exemplified by Eskom and its interminable power crisis. In an 874-page report, the State Capture Commission has painstakingly documented how some state-owned enterprises conspired and colluded with some private companies to loot our resources for their own private and personal gain. Our education is in a parlous state. More than 80% of our children cannot read for meaning in any language, nor can they calculate with accuracy by grade 4. Do these young people have a future in our society? And what kind of future awaits these young people? There are concerted efforts calculated to malign, discredit, and delegitimize institutions of our constitutional democracy. The very foundational principles of a constitutional democracy are under fierce assault. And the very idea of a constitutional democracy is being intensely challenged, even by those who took an oath to obey, observe, uphold, and maintain our Constitution and all law of the land. We are on a ruinous path. We are on a perilous path. This is not the country, nor is it a society we had envisioned when the struggle against apartheid was prosecuted. This is a time for a pause and a deep reflection, a time to act in defense of our constitutional democracy, a time for accountability, and above all, a time for leadership. All these challenges notwithstanding, we should never allow apathy, despair, cynicism, and despondency to take root in our society. We cannot afford to lose hope, and we cannot afford not to imagine a better society. And this is the significance of your graduation today. Hope, optimism, and a promise of a better tomorrow. Allow this hope and optimism to impel you to act with courage, conviction, and boldness to make a positive change in our society. Young people like you have always been a catalyst for change in this country. I have great confidence in you and in your ability to lift our country out of the abyss into which it has descended. You see, in a democracy, ordinary citizens are the last line of defense against any uncaring or tyrannical government. And those of you who have had the privilege of higher education carry a particular responsibility, a duty, an obligation to place your knowledge, skills, and talent at the service of our society. You have a responsibility to lead and do so with integrity and become the voice of the voiceless. As graduates of the university where leaders learn, you have so much to offer our ravaged society and our broken world. Armed with the quality education you have received from this great university, and guided by our values of social justice, empathy, kindness, integrity, honesty, compassion, civility, and human solidarity, you can make a difference. You can pull this country away from the path of anarchy and destruction. Yes, there will be obstacles. There will be setbacks. There will be mistakes and failures along the way. But you must learn from these and be resilient and resolute in your commitment to serve our society and humanity. Never for a moment doubt your capacity to make a positive change. The education you have received from Rhodes University has prepared you for this. Never allow the fear of failure to drive you into the safety and placidity of inaction. You are more than equal to the challenges that will come your way. Because of you and the significance of your graduation today, I'm very optimistic about the future of our society and the future of humanity. You fill us with hope. You fill us with optimism. In the 6 graduation ceremonies of autumn 2023, a total of 1,849 students will receive their degrees, diplomas, and certificates. Of these, 1,124, or 61%, are undergraduate bachelor's degrees, and 725, or 39%, are postgraduate degrees, postgraduate diplomas, and postgraduate certificates. Of the 725 postgraduate students, 69 will be receiving their master's and 23 doctoral degrees. We have another special graduation ceremony in the spring, only for master's and PhD graduates. 65% of the graduating students are female students. Sithi malibongwe. Alibongwe. Igama lamakhosikazi. Masibonge imbokotho. This is something that we must celebrate because it is only recently that women have had access to education, particularly higher education. And in some parts of the world, Afghanistan, for example, young girls have no access to education. And we should never take this for granted. Even as we celebrate this tremendous performance of our female students, we must encourage young men to do well and to have a better showing. I must indicate that 11% of those who are graduating are international students. With your graduation this afternoon, you join a special community of our alumni, extraordinary people who are making remarkable contributions and leading change in many and diverse fields of human endeavor. We will expect no less from you. We welcome you to this special and ever-growing community with whom you share a deep affection for this wonderful institution. In the years to come, we will follow your growth, development, and success as a professional with a keen interest and will applaud you for the honor and credit you bring to your alma mater. May you look back on this glorious day of your graduation with great pride and warm memories, and may it serve as an inspiration and a springboard towards better and exciting things for you in life. At the end of this ceremony, when you are reunited with your loved ones, will you please give them a warm embrace and whisper these words in their ear? Thank you for all that you have done for me. We wish you much success, happiness, and fulfillment in the years ahead. Above all, we wish you discernment and moral courage to serve our society and humanity with humility, honesty, and integrity. And so to all of you, Mazel Tov. As we draw the curtain on the autumn 2023 graduation exercises, I wish to pay a special tribute to the wonderful women and men who have worked tirelessly to make our graduation ceremonies a tremendous success. You see, they normally work behind the scenes to ensure that our graduation ceremonies run without a hitch. These are the people who have worked extra hard to ensure that the names of our graduates appeared on the graduation program in the right place, in the right order, and for the right qualification. You see, they wanted to be sure that the moment of glory of each one of our graduates was a truly special and memorable experience. Time does not allow me to mention all of them by name, but permit me to single just a few. Our Chancellor, the Honorable Justice Lex Mpati, who has presided over all 6 ceremonies. He has brought considerable dignity, grace, and gravitas to all these ceremonies. Our acting registrar, Professor Dave Suri, and his team in the Registrars Division, they have worked hard to make sure that everything works and works well. Our Deputy Vice Chancellors, who read citations of recipients of various university awards, Ms. Desiree Wicks, an absolutely amazing person who has directed all the proceedings on the ground. Faculty deans who called out the names of our graduates and read theses and dissertation citations, master's dissertation and doctoral thesis supervisors, manager conference and events, Ms. Charmaine Avery and her team, the army of volunteers who are serving as ushers. I am immensely proud of these young people. Our support divisions, the Rhodes University Protection Service, under the able leadership of Mr. Joel Mabija, the Rhodes University Choir. Our choir is celebrating their 70th anniversary this year. Our warmest congratulations to them, and many thanks for adding excitement and a vibe in our ceremonies. Now, when you see these people around, please give them a bear hug, a smile, and say a quiet thank you. They are truly, truly special. Asante sana, Enkosi, Gyalibuha, Nyabonga, Nolibua, vielen Dank, Gyalibua, Nyatogoza, Inkom, Shukran, merci beaucoup, tante grazie, baya danki, zinkomo kwambiri, bolsha es possible, obrigado. Thank you very much.
The region of the world that suffers the greatest burden of the global HIV pandemic is sub-Saharan Africa, a burden endured mainly by young women. At the forefront of the endeavour to address, manage and counter the pandemic has been Professor Helen Rees, an internationally renowned expert in HIV prevention, reproductive health, and vaccination. Based at Wits University, she has been actively engaged for many years in healthcare research and the implementation of related programs. Her approach to healthcare is that of a human rights activist, an approach shaped by her early life experiences, her parents instilling in her a concern for social justice, her father a committed Welsh socialist who came from a family of mine workers and trade unionists, her mother a liberal Christian blessed with enormous compassion. Growing up in England, Helen's activism soon became evident. As a teenager, attending anti-apartheid meetings at a time when Peter Hain was campaigning to stop South African sports teams touring the UK. Going to Cambridge University and obtaining degrees, interestingly, in both medicine and political and social science, realizing that medicine could not be practiced without a corresponding concern for social justice. Soon to be drawn to Southern Africa, together with her partner, Faisal Randera, a South African doctor she had met while an intern at a London hospital, coming this way to work as health activists, first in Zimbabwe and then in Johannesburg. As activist doctors, they worked at the Alexandra Clinic, with Helen heading the pediatric section and Faisal in charge of obstetrics. This during the township uprising of the 1980s, when Alexandra was in turmoil. Helen remembers trying to give safe haven in the clinic to young people who had been shot and trying to resuscitate them. Also recalling a time when the clinic itself was surrounded by heavily armed police. In the early 1990s, she joined a team of health activists who met with the ANC in Maputo and was asked to write up a women's health policy for the post-apartheid era. Then in 1994, tasked by the new ANC-led government to set up a research unit for women's reproductive health. Thus came into being, at Wits University, the Reproductive Health and HIV Institute, which Professor Rees has headed ever since, initially with a staff of 5, now numbering over 2,500. Not surprisingly, the university's largest research entity. Under her leadership, the Institute's main role to undertake research and prevent new HIV infections among young women, her own involvement extending beyond South Africa, being a lead researcher in a Pan-African study on HIV acquisition. Given Professor Rees's experience, it is not surprising that her expertise has been called upon during the COVID-19 pandemic, being appointed to a number of committees advising the Minister of Health on the pandemic, also serving on World Health Organization bodies such as the WHO International Health Regulation Emergency Committee for COVID-19, dealing with the development, rollout, and utilization of COVID vaccines. This in addition to her work on other WHO emergency committees dealing with polio, Ebola, and yellow fever. Professor Rees has held so many positions and been involved in so many different spheres, it is difficult to know how she copes. To name just some, Professor in the Wits Department of Obstetrics and Gynaecology, Honorary Professor at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. Since 2017, Chairperson of the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority, SAPRA, which by late last year had cleared a backlog of 16,000 applications for product approval, a process that brought her into conflict with EFF leader Julius Malema, who demanded her resignation because of her reluctance to approve Russian and Chinese COVID vaccines. Then there is her extensive international involvement, chairing or sitting on WHO and United Nations committees dealing with vaccines, access to medicines, pandemic preparedness. Also chairing the board of MedAccess, a London-based company which strives to bring medicine to patients in poor countries. Not only is this involvement a clear indication of her international renown, it has also accorded her a significant insight into global health issues. And, oh yes, one must also not forget that she has over 250 published research articles to her name. At the core of Professor Rees's thinking is the view that medicine cannot be practiced in isolation. A holistic approach requiring that healthcare is provided with an understanding of social issues, is linked to policy, and brings the business sector into play. Renowned for openness to differing perspectives, she is able to draw together ideas and recommendations derived from different sources and inputs. It is hardly surprising that Professor Rees has received numerous awards and accolades. To name a few, in 2001, an OBE, Officer of the British Empire, conferred by Queen Elizabeth. In 2004, the first woman to be accorded the South African Distinguished Scientist Award. The South African Academy of Sciences Gold Award in 2010. The South African Medical Association's Lifetime Achievement Award in 2012. The Order of the Baobab in Silver, awarded by the South African President in 2017. And last year, the French National Order of Merit, conferred by President Macron. Professor Rees has an honorary doctorate from the University of London, but today Rhodes is proud to be the first African university to grant such an honour. Awarded to a renowned scientist with an extraordinary capacity for hard work and a passion for ensuring equal access to medicine and healthcare, especially on the African continent, who has played an integral role in the global response to HIV, to the COVID pandemic, and to other illnesses, who has dedicated her life to transforming health policy for tens of millions of people in low and middle-income countries across the world, who serves as a wonderful role model for any scientists, especially women scientists. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honour to request you to confer on Helen Rees the degree of Doctor of Laws, Honoris Causa.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Before I start the formalities, I will just say, when you hear yourself described like that, you think they're talking about somebody other than yourself, but I'm very flattered. So, to the Chancellor, Judge Lexampati, Professor Cece Mabizela, to Judge Gerald Bloom, the Chairperson of Council, and to the public orator, who, as I say, put something together that I've never heard before, so I'm very grateful. But to all the deans here, to members of the University Council, to the academics and the administration support staff, to the SRC members, including the president of the SRC, Avaxeni Tiala, to all the graduates and your families, and to my family, who are here and they're also online, students, university, and friends. Well, it is indeed, truly, truly a huge honor for me to be awarded a Doctor of Laws by Rhodes University. And I want to really sincerely thank those who nominated me and all the university structures that then subsequently approved this award. But this today is much more about the young people here who are receiving your awards. And what I would like to do, because I didn't think you did such a good job for the Vice-Chancellor, I think you should give yourselves another big, big round of applause. So I think, like the other graduates I suspect have said, when you're asked to talk to a large audience, particularly of young people, you sit back and you say, what am I going to talk about? So I did what any person of my age would do addressing younger people, and I looked to a new artificial intelligence tool called ChatGPT. Hands up those of you who know about ChatGPT. I think it came out after you got your degrees, but it's, for those who don't know what it is, it's a software tool, it's artificial intelligence, and it's scarily effective. It was launched this year in January, and within 2 months, it's got over 100 million users. And what you have to do to it is you have to say, ChatGPT, please write me, I know none of you did this, write me an essay on, and it does it for you. You just specify. So I said to ChatGPT, I thought, well, this would be interesting. So I said, can you write me an acceptance speech for Rhodes University as a doctor of medicine who's receiving a Doctor of Laws? But I realized then two things. I hadn't thought about this. First of all, when I read it, it was actually really boring. And secondly, it did occur to me that you've had 5 honorary doctorates awarded this week, and I thought, well, if Chief Justice Zondo also went on to ChatGPT, we could give you the same speech. So I scrapped that, and I decided that instead I would tell you some stories and just sort of life lessons that I think I've learned, and picking up on what you've just heard. And although I'm from medicine, you all are from different backgrounds, disciplines today, and you're at different points in your chosen careers. But thinking about talking to you, I went back to a memory I had, which was just referred to, when I first addressed a large audience of medical students and doctors. And it was a very different time. It was 1986, and we had just had the announcement of a state of emergency in South Africa. And the state of emergency, for those of you who remember this, was in response to really uprisings, particularly in the townships where youth and the army were clashing, where youth were disappearing, and there were many deaths. Now, at that time, I was working in Alexandra Township Clinic, and I was very pregnant. And that's an important point when I tell you this story. And there were not very many doctors, as you can imagine, a population of 500,000. We got NGO funding. The government wasn't interested in funding. There were few doctors. And what was called the Alex 6-Day War broke out. And on that first day, there were just, in fact, I think I was probably the only doctor that was there at that time. And the military came in and they took away the youth who were hiding in the clinic. and they were injured youth, and they just took them away. So that night, a group of us from what was called the National Medical and Dental Association, NAMDA, sat all night and we wrote a memorandum that was a guideline, and that guideline said, what are the responsibilities of healthcare workers in times of conflict? And the next day, I went back into the clinic and the war was going on. It was a 6-day war. And once again, youths were injured and they came to the clinic and they hid. And we were trying to both hide them and care for them. And what I remember was standing in the entrance to the emergency part of the clinic with my NAMDA guideline in one hand and a big plastic green apron over my pregnant stomach in the other, and saying, I will not let you in, being with a very, very, very large colonel standing above me, saying, I will not let you in. Now, remember, we were surrounded by Caspers, that we were surrounded by soldiers, and as you can guess, that strategy wasn't going to be very successful. So I was taken away from the doorway, and I was taken to a Casper, and shouted very loudly that if they put me in that Casper, I would give birth. And I think that was what saved me, because they let me go because I was too noisy and too pregnant, but the youth were removed again. And I think that was a profound moment for me, because it meant that being a doctor wasn't just about the clinical care. It meant that being a doctor meant that you had to care holistically for the needs of the people that you cared for. And I went back, and this was what I remembered. I went back and talked at Wits Medical School about what our responsibilities were as healthcare workers in times of conflict. So why am I telling you this? Well, many of you, I think you're from commerce, you're going to go into commerce, there's journalism. You've got a range of different skills that you're going to go into. But a job is a job. A job is what you can get paid for, and it's an occupation. But I want you to think about what is a vocation. A vocation is that occupation, but it's something that you feel, and perhaps others feel, is worthy. So when you think about what you're going to do, think about what you want to do in terms of worthiness and dedication. You're a long time in a job. And importantly, one of the things to remember in all of this, and it's a very good TED Talk for those of you who like to listen to podcasts, it's not what you do, it's why you do it. And many of you will go into business, you'll be entrepreneurs, you're going to be perhaps in NGOs, in the public sector, and in the private sector. But whatever you do, think about, why am I doing this? I can get up, I can go to work, I can come home. Why am I doing this? And I want to pick up on what the Vice-Chancellor just said. I would really argue today in South Africa that the why should not be fast cars, fancy houses. How can I make big profits on essential goods during a pandemic? That is not a why. That's corruption. Your whys should be different, because without that, we can't build a society. So it's not what you do, it's why you do it, and I want you to think about that. And for the healthcare workers working during that 6-day war, the why was about caring. It wasn't just about stitching up wounds and taking out bullets, it was about caring. So just thinking on from the story that you've just heard about other pieces of things I've learned, really. And you've heard that in 1994, I was asked to set up a research unit because we had a democratic country for the first time, and the history of research and health research in South Africa had been very much targeting, it was heart transplants. It was extraordinarily effective, high-tech medicine targeting rich communities and white communities, and we had completely neglected the majority of our communities. So I was asked, I was very interested in women's health. I drafted what was to become the women's health policy for the new government, and I was asked to set up a research entity, and we had 5 people, and I had no experience of research at all. But I did it, and it's grown. And the reason it's grown is not because of me, it's grown because of the commitment of an entire team of people. So from that, I would say sometimes things are offered to you that don't necessarily immediately resonate with you. They're not necessarily things you feel confident. You've heard of the imposter syndrome? You're asked to do things, and you said, it can't be me, I'm not good enough, I can't do that. It's not true. Take that risk and do it. And now I'm going to come on to another part that relates very strongly to the work that goes on at Rhodes, not so much for yourselves, but you all know that you have a very strong school here of pharmacology and a very strong school of law. And this was the other thing that happened to me, where you see my life is a lot of things. People ask me to do things that I'm not terribly well equipped to do. And in 1997, I was asked to join the Medicines Control Council. And I didn't know much about drug regulation at all, but it was post-94, and we were rebuilding structures. So I joined it, and then the next year, the health minister asked me to become the chair of that council. And again, I felt, I don't know enough about this. And when she phoned me, I did what any sensible person would do, is that I said to my husband, who's sitting here, tell her I'm not here, and I hid behind a pillar so that she wouldn't be able to see me on the telephone, but I didn't get away with it, and I was made the chair of the Medicines Control Council, and now, as you've heard, I'm the chair of the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority. And you'll also be very glad to hear I know a lot more about drug regulation now than I did then. But I think importantly here, if you get offered things, don't be afraid to take it. The Vice-Chancellor said the same thing. Don't be afraid of failure. If you've been offered it, someone has seen something in you that you haven't necessarily seen in yourself. So be brave and take that opportunity. But the other thing I want to do is to link my honorary doctorate today with that have been given to other colleagues this week. And that is to say that we sometimes don't think about how important regulators are in a democratic society. And it's something I've more and more got to understand. Now, drug regulation is a combination of the legal and the pharmacological and the medical. Why is it important? It's important because if we don't have it, when you go into a pharmacy and you buy a product, you will have no idea whether that product is safe or not. When you have an anesthetic, you won't know what is being given to you and if it's safe or not. And this is a real risk in today's world. We've heard about cough medicines made in India killing children around the world because of lack of good regulation. So regulation is there to be independent, like the judiciary, and to make sure that what we are giving in terms of a most important pillar of health, pharmacology, that what we are giving to people is safe and it's effective, and you can feel confident that when your child is sick, the medicines they get are good and they're going to work. And the reason I want to emphasize that is that I think it's a branch of democracy that's sometimes not recognized. If you have decent regulation, if you have independent regulation, you should not have corruption. You should not have people being able to bend the rules and give you substandard service, whether it's on trains or anywhere else. That should not happen. So I want to just also to your colleagues and to yourself, some of you might well go into the pharmaceutical industry. Just think about that actually regulators you can think of them that they're a real pain, but they're incredibly important. So as you can see from what you've heard and what I've said, I sort of had this funny career where I was an activist and a doctor, and then a sort of very ill-prepared drug regulator, and then an ill-prepared researcher, and I did a bit of this and that. And so what I want to say to you, because there are many millennials here, and it's a different world, you're not like your parents, is that your life's course can be bending. It's not always a straight line. It can go this way and it can go that way. But the important thing for all of you is to take those opportunities, take those risks. It's a Latin expression, carpe diem, which means seize the day, seize the day. So don't be afraid to take those risks, and don't be afraid if your life course is not a straight line, but you're doing some of this and you're experimenting with that. But do it because It's not what you do, it's why you do it, and think about why you are doing it. So, I'm going to go now back to ChatGPT, because I also thought it was too dry. I told you the first speech was too dry. So I said, can you give me a joke? Because, you know, every speech like this has to have a joke. Right? And they gave me a joke. So I'm going to test it on you. And your response is going to be very important, because I'll either use ChatGPT for jokes again, or I will never use it again. So here it goes. Right. Behind every doctor of medicine who receives a doctor of laws stands several astonished lawyers. Okay, so all of you, we can use it for jokes sometimes, but anyways, thanks. So once again, I'm so impressed. I've had an opportunity to talk to the faculty, to your senior leaders here today, and I'm so impressed with Rhodes University, and I'm totally honored to have been given this degree. But the most important thing about what I've said is for all of you young people who are getting your degrees today. Think about the opportunities, seize the day, think why you do it, not what you do, why. And just remember that there are 7 days in the week, and not one of them is called someday. Thank you.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer the degree of Bachelor of Commerce on the following candidates. Aileen Alum. Philemon Makonje Ashishimba. Akona Bongiwe Bastile. Kamogelo Ronald Bashielo. Msanyana Masola Buerta. Longezo Charles Chapula. Jaideen Chetty. Setabela Senentlantla Chile. Diketso Tapelo Chiolane. Ngoni Tabu Chiremba. Chanel Ronnie Chutichia with distinction in management. Ubuchle de Biers. Asipo Glayedwa. Nicholas Anthony Dunn. Olam Meli Dioniki. Chiamo Khadina Bokwa. Just. Nolundi Tandeka Hope Gaju. Mpati Kwenza Kwenkozi Gwala. Tembayise Samekeliswa Temwayo. Brian Aiden Jaquiri. Jaslyn John Joe. Lenati Giorgio. Siyanda Jokazi. Athinkozi Kanana. Lungelo Wiseman Koza. Akem Lungisani Kumalo. Ranzu Shanine Kumalo. Avela Kumsha. Koti Doreen Namakula Kinini. Lomso Handtra. Shlengiwe Visani Kathy Shlengwane. Aliswa Kweleti. Sibal Bawe Kwesaba. Makopu Jackson Lepoy. Simangele Precious Lingani. Sabelwe Rathul Mabuya. Matthew William Mackenzie. Sharon Tadiwa Madondo with distinction in auditing. Suzanne Madonsela. Simasa Magat Lela. Siasanga Matlati. Lithle Princess Mahlombe with distinction in information systems. Simyolisa Matlulo. Palisa Confidence Macaulay. Natlantla Malisa. Washamudu Malofa Dunkil. Mamafa and Tokoto. Mani Nolu Babalo. Amanda Masi Beni. Tracy Nontokoza Mashele. Zanati Mashikwa. Mangaliso Mashia with distinction in information systems. Lusizwe Matitinka.
Yep.
Tandile Mbangata. Charles Mbetsi. Siyabonga Eric Mgavu. Judicious Mhlalati with distinction in information systems. Asipe Mdongwe. Sipusehlu Mkoto. Yamkela Mkanka. Lindy Mgeni. Mdumiso Myanda. Ituteng Marigomo Motang. Mandisa Motito. Oh. Kalipo Sibulele Mpeleli. Mpikeleli. Just right. Kamba Mpondo. Sweli. Annalisiwe Msweli. Ayola Mchemla. Lorraine Judith Tapiwa Mudzami. Madalitso Chonde Ndumba. Sichle Umvumvu. Lunga Meulazi. Akona Lutanda Mayataza. Avumelo Songezi Mazai Dume. Ryle Linton Naidu. Namakawe Nicole Nkube. Ashley Ndlovu. Sani Lisiwe Nzambu. Tisetsu Gutrid Nehluhuni. Mhlengiwe Tracy Nkopo. Snotandu Nomfundu Nkopo. Sinalo Ngonze. Indinalo Ngrangani. Zubinati Sean Vula. Pelokasi Luluto Nyekwa. Not Jekwa. Simbonile Nomlose. Nkosi Nati Mokonyana with distinction in economics. You just come back. With distinction in economics and management. Kiara Lucille Norman. Asekona Nchona. Nonkazi Zimulu Nzuzu with distinction in information systems. Anisipo Palmer. Ayabonga Ponono. Ramona Letabo Ramano. Kwamisa Ramkana. Latoya Bafidele Rasilabi. Busisiwe Razonti. Translated. Matthew James Royal. Sihanda Mongezi Sibeku. Onani Masawake Kribele Sibia. Yanesa Sidandala. Futomi Saint Shislangu. Sibulele Sikamani. Ntako Simango. Matthew James Strachen. Sinotandu Shreling Dawo. Tabiso Lizwe Tabede. Babalwe Anele Te Lelo. Sipu Isishle Tibini. Mvu Yelwa Sianda and Klibi Lika. Nestor Yuyan Richard Walsh. Sino Vuyo Williams. Lynn Brenda Wright. Nazipi Zekolo. What you say is Mklumisa Ziliwana. Renee Ursula Zimmermann. Pops Zungu. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer the degree of Bachelor of Economics on the following candidates: Melissa Leanne Amos. Okay. Anga Goniwe. Bukhosli Bukhle Mshlambiso. Otya Kapepura Muruko. Lupumlo Nku Kana. With distinction in economics. Shaman Makungu Sibeka with distinction in economics. UD.
Ms. Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer the degree of Bachelor of Journalism on the following candidates. Dylan Dominic Aston with distinction. Therese Brittany Kane Cross with distinction. Andy Siwe James Techiwe with distinction. Ivory Collins. Karabo Mpo Dikobe. Haneke Dupris with distinction. Sonwabi said Zizi with distinction. Selena Hannah Willox Fori with distinction. Prashalan Govender. Naomi Slivia Grevon with distinction. Trina Tandoenkosi Klabisa with distinction. Sakila Janssen with distinction. Robin Johnson. Poelo Irene Keta. Siabong Bokang Kuto. Patrick Gray Kidd. Sinazo Kosh. Gina Catherine Kretzman with distinction. Lerato Kutumela. Malehu Hope Letswalo. Anthony James Lahai Lightning. Casey Ludick. Nasipi Alungile Dandeka Mahlati. Muzwandile Prince Mamaila. Lisedi Masoko. Tanyara Zwa Sasha Maswaure with distinction. Bianca Judith McLean with distinction. Tsepiso Agnes Motlong. Kawekazi Masimdumise Mpatwa. Libohang Sheila Mchale. Sonia Charity Sajabi Namkuta with distinction. Sinenhlanhla Ndema. Anatindevu with distinction. Nonjabulo Sinenhlanhla Ntuli. Denzo Dalubu Shenyati with distinction. Dana Faye Osborne with distinction. Nanza Siko Platana with distinction. Siyabulela Ashwin Sandi with distinction. Robin Shoot. Rayleigh Seymour Brown. Mamatubo Nomvelo Emashinga. Nobuhle Tembelinhle Takasile Zulu. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to present the following, to confer the degree of Bachelor of Music on the following candidates. Tinayeshe Makamure with distinction.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the honour to request you to award the postgraduate diploma in accountancy to the following candidates.
Okay. Mihlali Belukwana. What's your name? Okay, this is actually Daryl. Daryl Madua Kwaramba. Tubisutu Makalima. Nkubeko Melwana. Malandisu Luto Mikiva. Nozipiwo Mtlantla. Flora Penelope Mtizwa. Rutendu Nyoni. Tanduletu Petse. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to award the Advanced Diploma in Business Analysis to the following candidates. Ronald Sherwin Berger. Molo Boheng Leto Wane. Leletu Malikeve Leve. Annalisa Maku. Sipumelo Melelo Mpumulo. Nomkebo Maud Miranda Mkwanazi. Andy Nkiko Mneke with distinction. Wilhelmina Nguni. Letabo Monobe. Athankosi Mpotu Lo. Ayanda Alex Ndongwane. Lavelisani Mavis Nichi Swingdre. Sipe Sichle Vincent Joe Baker. Wendy Ntate Jolie. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to award the postgraduate diploma in business analysis to the following candidates. Zizo Balintu Lo. Mamuli Christina Letoba. Viwe Makeleni. Sibusi So Makazi with distinction. Andrew Francis Magani. Shlindele Matenjwa. Sipe Lele Mbasa. Lutandu Tabeni Mkize. Hello.
You can just say Ndomiso and
Ndomiso Londiwe Nombuye Se Lo Nkele. Nomfundu Unati Shumani. Sabelo Godfrey Simbanyone. Sibulele Solondongwe. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to award the postgraduate diploma in enterprise management to the following candidates. Kanya Ashiya. Buyeswa Bungu. Tandu Timbele Koyana. Pila Nyanda Mabona. Lawandi Sile Makebo. Petsi Sao Anatode Makoni with distinction. Henrietta Handy Masoga. Lotku Lu Manko Akua in Yokweni. Humzubanzi Quencha. Uzu Katkwambe Nyanda. Morwa Manake Saiko Pala. Tabang Matu Selome. Ongeziwe Shumi. Portia Sibanda. Sia Bulela Gladstone Suka. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honour to request you to confer the degree of Bachelor of Economics on the following candidate. Zisipo Boy.
Ms. Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to award the postgraduate diploma in heritage management on the following candidates. Amin Keji. Ndombokolo Deborah Mazele. Tabelo Trevor Mbedzi. Mr. Chancellor, the first candidate has a distinction, Kaylee Amin with distinction. Thank you, Vice Chancellor. Nkosi Vumile Dzanibe. Sive Faith Ginya. Ovayo Milina Novukela. Likapa Tata with distinction. Vice Velisile Bukula with distinction. Kulane Chirelezo Choane. Linda Jani. Samkelo Teba. Trevor Stanley Harting. Makanya Michelle Komisa. Mabato Malebohang Litebe with distinction. Nokubonga Matri. Buhle Lusapo Mifihlo. Sisonke Mlamla. Mulifi Chechiu Mulifi. Nanga Msomyoli. Sivuile Ngaba. Timothy Matome Rangongo. Annelisa Sharon Sandi. Tuafi Helena Shafombambi. Spokazi Choma. Elmary Emerentia Eletitia van Heerden. With distinction. Ntombienkosi Zulu. Ms. Chancellor, the students from Zanibe Nkosivumile to Tata Likapa were awarded a postgraduate diploma in journalism. And the students from Bishop David Reno to Zulu Ntombenkosi were for the postgraduate diploma in media management. Thank you.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer the degree of Master of Business Administration on the following candidates. Ilse Mersher Chilton. Colette Huxtable with distinction. Chulumanko Mdingi. Batibele Liberty Sonka Aba. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer the degree of Master of Commerce on the following candidates. Ponso Violet Khalani. Tukutswa Stanley Muyava Viri with distinction. Gracious Varadisa Nyamurondo, Elizabeth Tendai in financial management. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer the degree of Master of Economics on the following candidate, Cameron Spencer Heathfield.
Ms. Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer the degree of Master of Music on the following candidate, Joseph Makanza.
Fine and you, don't worry. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to request you to confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy on the following candidates. Monelo Nkhozi in Information Systems. Eight years after the publication of the Corporate Governance of ICT Policy Framework, the Auditor General noted that 65% of its auditees in 2019 and 2020 financial year had weak IT governance controls. Monelo's research developed a compliance framework for successful IT governance adoption, which is contingent on the following factors. Firstly, IT governance competencies at the level of the board of directors. Secondly, top management support and longevity of tenure. Thirdly, business process integration and data analytics. Fourthly, the dynamic role of the Chief Information Officer. Fifthly, adequate government stakeholder support. And lastly, the organizational culture. Mornay Owen in Information Systems. Phishing remains one of cybersecurity's vulnerabilities. Mornay's research aimed to understand the role of optimism bias and behavior towards cybersecurity. In doing so, a mixed method research design was used to investigate optimism bias behavior. In using the mixed methods approach, the quantitative data collected was analyzed using the PLS path modeling, followed by an experiment consisting of information security training awareness sessions, and thereafter simulated phishing attacks. It was found that the overly optimistic individuals are inclined to behave insecurely. Furthermore, this finding should be emphasized in cybersecurity training sessions to mitigate behavioral vulnerability.
I also confer degrees and award diplomas to those candidates named in the program who are in absentia. Will you please rise for the national anthem? By virtue of the authority vested in me, I dissolve this congregation of Rhodes University.